Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my top 5 tips for planning a wedding on a budget. Obviously, there are hundreds of thousands of tips I could tell you guys to save money here and there. These are going to be the big money items that I'm going to talk about today, the things that are going to save you the most money in the long run. All right, so let's get started. My first tip for planning a wedding on a budget is establishing a budget, and not just any budget. It's really important to be realistic with what you want and what your expectations are from this wedding. If you want to have a wedding that has a $5,000 budget, but you also want 200 guests and a 5-course dinner with an open bar, it's probably not going to happen. So it's really important to be realistic, and I encourage you to create a priorities list. Write down and make a list of every single component you want in the wedding, and then rank them from the most important to least important. And that way you can really hone in on what you find important in this wedding. Really do your research. Go out and meet with as many people as you can. Meet with venues, caterers, florists, meet with everyone and get different price quotes. It's really important for you to establish a regional average. You know, Florida, where I live, is very different from New York City. So, it's easy to go online and Google what averages are, but it's important to find out specifically in your area what the average prices are going for. Really try to think about all the little details when you're creating your budget. Some of the things that are looked over the most are gifts for the bridal party, wedding bands. That is something that you think would be pretty obvious, but people look over it all the time and including that in the budget. And I think one of the most important things to remember to include in the budget is you need to include gratuity for every service you provide. So for all the caterers, for your wedding planner, for your photographer, you need to remember to include gratuity for anyone that you think you might be giving a tip to. So my second tip is a few combined into one, but it has to do with the venue. I think one of the biggest ways you can save is to think outside of the box when it comes to your venues. So many people resort to hotel ballroom weddings, which, don't get me wrong, are great. And if you have the budget to really decorate them, they can be amazing. But if you are in a more limited budget, think outside the box. Where I live, we have a lot of really great botanical gardens. We have some really amazing museums. Look for places like that are kind of pre-decorated. That way you can save so much money on your decorations. You don't have to worry about doing major pipe and drape and creating huge tablescapes. Really try to find something that is already a really interesting and unique place. Also, when you're trying to find a venue, I encourage you to try to find a place that will let you use your own caterer. A lot of times venues make you use their caterer, and not only does that limit you in options, but sometimes they have required minimums that you have to meet. So not only does it hurt your budget, but it really limits you in options. So find somewhere where you can bring your own caterer in and you can really decide on how much you want to spend with that caterer, and you have a lot more options of things that you can do. My final tip that goes with venues is really try to find an actual venue space. I know a lot of people think they're saving when they go out to a local park and can rent it for $50 a day, but in the long run, you're going to end up spending so much money on renting a tent, renting chairs and tables, and all the silverware things. It becomes so expensive, and a lot of times you'll end up spending way more than if you would have just chosen a different venue that maybe was an outdoor venue but is an actual established business. So for tip number 3, I encourage you to look outside the box when it comes to wedding cakes. If you have a large budget and can afford a 7-tier huge wedding cake, then more power to you. But right now, not only are there more options for brides that are looking for a dessert on a budget, a lot of the trends are going that way. You see cupcakes all the time, and you can save so much money by going to these alternatives. I think they said the national average is about $1,500 for a wedding cake, whereas if you want to do cupcakes, it's anywhere from $350 to $550 is about the average. So that saves you close to $1,000. So that's a really great option to go to. One of the things that I recently saw that I'm obsessed with that is so cute is donuts. So donuts are like the new thing, and I personally like donuts better than cupcakes and cakes. And I saw somewhere, I think it was at some national convention, they made a wall of donuts, and it had like little hooks, and you could hook the donut on the wall, and they made their initials out of the donuts, and it was so cute. And I think it probably saved them a good amount of money because donuts are just not going to cost as much as a huge wedding cake is. So this is my 4th tip, and I'm scared to say it, and it's definitely controversial, but if you're really, really needing to cut your budget, I personally think the one place that you can cut it is having a photographer. I know I feel like I'm gonna get so much backlash for this, but this is the one place that I could cut my budget. I know photographers are incredibly important, and if it's something that's really important to you, then by all means spend the money. But again, if this is a place you're really looking to cut, then do it. You know, I went to my friend's wedding recently and she had all these photographers there and she spent probably close to, you know, $8,000 on a photographer. And I happened to snap a picture of her coming down the aisle right after they got married with the groom. And do you know that that is her profile picture on everything? The picture that I took with my iPhone became her profile picture and the one picture she uses for everything. So nowadays, you know, back in the day when people didn't have cameras right at their fingertips, I totally understand the importance of having to have a photographer there. But everyone is going to be taking pictures. And if you tell people that you don't have a photographer, they are going to want to take pictures for you. They're going to see it as their job to see if they can capture the best picture for you. And on top of that, you can also assign somebody, you know, if you have a friend or something that does have a good camera. I know I have a Sony a6000 that's awesome. It's about, I think, $600 or $700, but it takes amazing pictures. And, you know, I take all my headshots with it, all my fashion photos with it. And you wouldn't know that it's not a professional photographer taking the pictures. And it's just, you know, me and my friends on auto mode taking pictures. So you could definitely invest in that. And then you'd have it for, you know, the honeymoon and for a long time after that as well. And that would definitely save the price a lot. Again, I know this is a really controversial topic and it's definitely a personal preference. But if you think you can do without it and you're really trying to have a low cost budget, that's a place to save money. So my fifth and final tip is don't be afraid to ask for a deal. All the places you're going to go to, you know, the photographer if you choose one, the florist, the caterer, especially the venue, can all negotiate for the most part. I know the venue I work at especially will negotiate. You know, really all you have to do is ask for a deal and we usually give you one. I know there's different options too where you pay up front, in full, they'll give you deals. Also choosing the off season, and this varies by where you are. You know, in Florida, the off season is summertime. It's incredibly hot and no one wants to book weddings. So if you're willing to do a wedding in the summer in Florida, you can definitely save some money. Also look for last minute deals. It's kind of scary to book your venue last minute. And when I say last minute, I mean like 6 months out, not like the month before. But if you do book your venue at the last minute, you can definitely save as well. We at the venue I work at run last minute deals. So definitely be on the lookout for items like that. And don't be afraid to ask. What's the worst they can say is no, and you go from there. But I guarantee you if you ask and you're really nice, they can hook you up. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember that weddings are your special day, and to always remember, you really, as much as I can give you advice, you really can't take it from anyone else because only you know what's right for you. You know, you're the one that knows exactly what you want, what's important to you. So remember to stay true to yourself. You know, I know you're gonna have a lot of people trying to tell you where to save money, what to do. Try to stay true to yourself and what you really want. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. Comment below if you want to see more tips. I can definitely go into more details about different things, and please subscribe to my channel. Thanks guys, see you later.